Welcome to the Soulfire Podcast, where every day we talk about real life, real shit, real raw. On this show, you can expect us to dive deep into topics like marriage, parenting, money, business, feeling like you want to give up, fighting for yourself, just straight soul healing. This podcast is all about life. Hey there, it's Power Coach Alicia here, your source of fun, funny, exciting, entertaining, and educational life coaching, transformational speaking, and soul healing. We're talking about setting your soul on fire. I specialize in helping women put themselves first without feeling guilty, getting out of their own way, and finding themselves again. No fluff, no hand-holding, no bullshit here, just love, light, and peace as we journey through this thing called life. You know, as you go through life, right, you're creating all these connections with people, you're building relationships with people, your life is evolving, you're having kids, you're changing jobs, you get new friends, people are born, people die, right? There's just this whole evolution of life. And I think there's a big misunderstanding in how to, I don't know how I want to phrase this, but there's a big misconception or a big misunderstanding of what you're supposed to do as everything is changing around you, right? Because we're taught it's about adapting to our circumstances, right? Have you heard that before? You got to adapt to those circumstances. Well, adapting also means changing. And then as you grow, right? So you're learning that at a young age. And then as you grow, you're adapting to the circumstances, you're adapting to the challenges, you're adapting, and you're learning that in order to make it through, you've got to adapt. You see, but what happens is then we start really building deep, meaningful relationships and bonds and connections with people. Again, children, friends, parents, partners, whatever. And we shift adaptation to changing because we feel that in order for them to accept us and for us to be loved and for us to feel full, whole, complete, that we need to be a certain way for those people. And so I want to talk to you today about it not being about changing to be accepted. It's about growing to feel whole. It's not about changing to be accepted. It's about growing to feel whole. Let me explain. All right. So let's say you meet someone and they are very set in their ways, right? They have a very strong personality. They are who they are. They're not, moldable at all. And you meet this person, but you also see the other side, right? They're a beautiful soul. You think they're amazing. They are a bright light in, some other ways. And so where the disconnect is, you look and go, well, I could change this. I can edit that. It's going to help things be better. Because remember, they're not movable. They're not going to do much to adjust and shift. So if things are going to progress and get better and grow and evolve in this connection bond, it's mostly going to be you. And so what happens is you're looking at it from the outside in. So you're changing to be accepted in that connection relationship bond. And what you should be doing is growing to feel whole. So that's what changing to be accepted looks like. Growing to feel whole comes from the inside out. See, I'm a Taurus. I think I talked about this a few episodes ago, right? So we're stubborn, we're bullheaded, we're not very moldable. It's extremely hard to change us. We're very set in our ways. We're very much so creatures of habit, right? We're not all that open to new ideas or suggestions or things like that overall, right? Those are the foundations of a negative Taurus traits, right? We have all of our positives and amazingness, but I want to talk about the negatives for a second. So with that being said, it's very hard to move us. So what happens is the people that are around us are the ones that have to quote unquote change in order to accommodate the strength of our bull, the negative aspects of that bull. All right. The only way that you can be in a life of a Taurus and not feel that need, well, there's two sides of us Tauruses. There's the side that I just explained, which is me. And there's the side of the Taurus who has all that strength, but they shove it all down, right? Because they have such a big need to be accepted that all of the bulliness that they have inside of them, they like shut it out because they want that love, they want that acceptedness, they want those friends, they want all of that, right? And so they tend to live a life that is very hard on their soul. They tend to live a life where they cry a lot in feelings of not worth it, not worthy enough, not good enough, lack of self-love, lack of self-respect, because the alternative is that strength, that stubbornness, that power, right? And when they have presented that in the past, it has caused massive turbulence. So it's like, almost shrink back into the background and shrink back into the darkness sort of thing. And so when you talk about growing to feel whole, to be whole, to complete yourself and coming from the inside out, the best possible thing you can ever do, no matter what astrological sign you are, is look at the traits of your personality. Look at your habits, the way you show up, your characteristics, the way you communicate. Look at all of the negatives, the weaknesses of those, and decide what you want to grow through, what you want to make better, how you want to be a better version of you in those areas. Did you hear what I said? You sit down. You look at what you deem are your weaknesses, what you deem are your negative qualities, and what you want to change, where you want to grow. Not because somebody said you should, not because somebody made you feel bad over it, not because someone's going to leave you or a friend doesn't like you and they're telling you that they're at their wit's end and they're going to walk out the door because of it. I said, what are the weaknesses and negatives that you want to grow through, that you want to make better? And let me add to this. This is for you. And everybody else will benefit from it, but it isn't for them. All right? Here's an example. When my mom first got with her boyfriend, they had been together roughly a month, maybe 2 months. So is right at the beginning. Everybody was at my house. My brother had flown in from Utah at the time I lived in Florida, and we were all playing a board game. And he ragged and ragged and ragged on me. And I believe this was the trip that he had met my brother for the first time. And it was just this energy of like, I was basically this piece of shit sort of energy. And my brother was so fucking amazing. And, some backstory to that and really why it triggered me is because growing up, my brother was the prodigal child. Like, for the most part, he could do no wrong. He hardly ever got in trouble. He was hardly ever being yelled at. I never seen him be smacked ever, still to this fucking day. I was always in trouble. It was just that polar opposite, right? And so when I was in this situation, it triggered me back to this childhood. And I'm very strong in the moments that this is happening. Like, I don't show signs of quote unquote weakness is what I call it. I don't deem it like that with other people. So I don't look at other people and go, oh, they're showing signs of weakness. I feel it like that for me from the inside out. So hear me on this, right? So I don't show any signs of weakness during it all. I stayed strong and I participated. I was there and I smiled and went through it all. But then later on that night, when I was laying in bed with Daniel and I was telling him how I was feeling, I was crying and crying and crying. It was literally December of 2012. Like, I'll never forget this night. I don't think my whole life. And I'm crying and I'm just like, why can't people see my heart? Why don't they know how much I love and how much I give? And why don't they know that like I'm a human with feelings too? And why don't people realize that like when they say and do things, it absolutely does hurt me, even though I'm really strong? Like, why don't people see that, right? And these are all the things that I'm saying to him that night. within 4 months of that night, it was like an evolution, right? It wasn't like it took 4 months. There were things going on in that 4 month time frame. I decided that I had had enough. And one of the things that really like made the difference for me, and you should definitely write this down and read this fucking book. It's a very thin book, but it's highly impactful. And it's 5 Wishes by Gay Hendricks. I'm sure I've talked about it on the podcast before because I love this fucking book. It's changed my life, right? I probably even told this story before on the podcast because it's a very impactful thing that happened for me. This was like one of the last straws for the evolution of who is now Power Coach Alicia, and then Alicia who lives day in and day out, right? When you're on a soul journey, in 90 days' time, you change so much in your soul. You grow so much in your soul. There is so much that you go through and you grow through. So every 90 days, every single quarter, I do a quarterly soul retreat. And I want to invite you into this sacred space of this soul fire retreat that is all about helping you shift into the next level version of you, helping you look back over the last 90 days and pull out the things that you really connect to and taking the action to release the things that didn't serve you so well. This retreat is all about setting you up so powerfully for the next 90 days that you feel better and better, more and more peaceful, more and more alive, connected, and lighting your soul on fire. So if you'd like to learn more and join me for this soul fire retreat that is coming up really soon, I'd love for you to go to retreat.thesoulhealingzone.com. Again, that's retreat.thesoulhealingzone.com. I was saying all these things to Daniel, just crying and crying and crying. And then I read this book and, all of these things happen. And I decide that when I read this book and they ask in the book, if it's your funeral and somebody's giving a eulogy, what are they going to say about you? And I could only think of negative things, even though at this point in time in my life, let me just tell you, like at this point in time in my life, I think I'm 26 years old. I think I'm getting, or I don't know how fucking old I am. Maybe 28. I'm somewhere in that 26, 28 time frame. I'm getting ready to either turn 27 or I'm getting ready to turn 29. I don't know. The only thing I could think about all the negative shit, and it's like, how? Up to that point in time in my life, I had saved countless people from committing suicide. I had coached people back off the ledge, and I didn't even know what the fuck I was doing. I wasn't even a coach at this time, just so you guys know. Well, December of 2012? Oh, yeah. I had started my coaching business, but I didn't really know what I was doing quite yet. It was quite nuts. But anyways, so I had done all these good things in my life and done all these things that were like highly impactful for people. Yet when I'm reading this portion of this book and it asks me what people are going to say at my funeral, it's like, she's a bitch. I mean, she would tell you like it is. Oh man, Alicia was so brutally honest. She would hurt your feelings. She was so bossy and mean. Like I could just only think of negative. And in that moment, I was like, never a fucking again. It was like I went on this mission in that moment that my only point was that if I died, everybody would speak what was true about me, not those things. They would say that I had a huge heart and that I changed their life and that they loved me so much and that they thought I was so amazing and that I was there for them and I would do anything for them and that I was always giving and showing up for them and I was always being there for them. And I don't know, like that was who I was then. But nobody knew it. I swear to you, nobody knew it. Nobody around me. My brother didn't know it. My mom's boyfriend for a month didn't know it. My mom really didn't know it. It was like the only person that knew it was my husband. Because he said, oh, I know. You're amazing. You do have a big heart. You give so much. And he was saying all of those things. Nobody else talked about me like that. So I went on that mission. I was like, never fucking again. Like, If I die, they're going to say what's true. I don't care. I guess if you want to say all that shit, because that's still a baseline of my personality at some level, sure. But you will have all the other truths too. Like, truly, I think that if I died today, most people wouldn't say any of those negative things. She was honest and direct and tell you like it is. She had a powerful voice. Oh my gosh, but they would talk about the transformations and my speaking and like, literally saving people's lives and the giving and like the heart that I have and the love that I have. That's what people would talk about today. I know there's like no fucking doubt in my mind, right? So maybe they still might say some of the weaknesses, but I doubt it. I fucking doubt it. And it's because of the work that I did. And I did that work because I wanted it to change, because I wanted people to view me differently, because I wanted people to know what my truth was. I did not do it because somebody came to me and said, you are such a bitch. You treat people like shit, and you need to fucking fix it. I didn't do it because somebody said those things to me. I did it because I had heard those things about me, and that wasn't like the whole truth of me. And it was like, why wasn't anybody saying the other side? Well, that's because I was shielding the other side from everybody. I wasn't allowing them to see that side. I wasn't letting that side of me flourish and grow and be at the forefront, because that side is vulnerability, right? That side can be hurt. That side, people can take and run with it and fucking destroy me over. And then I've got to come back from that, from the millionth time of all the fucking bullshit I've been through in my life. So if I just show that other, bully side, then I'm going to be protected from all of that, destruction of my soul. But the truth was, it was destroying my soul anyways, right? So that's where it all started, was that. And, I've been well past that eulogy. Like, I would say probably 5 years into that work, maximum, my eulogy had changed. Like, it was evolving over time, but at that, 3 to 5 years into that work, my eulogy was going to be different, just because of the work that I was putting in for what I was receiving from people to be different, the things that they were saying to be different. And I still do that work today. I will not, hear this, I will not change something because you don't fucking like it. You can go fuck off. If you want me to change because you don't like it, you no longer have a space in my life. Like, if that is how relationship is going to work, like I must change in order for you to stay or for me to be worth it to you, you can get the fuck out, right? Now, that doesn't mean you can't bring it up. I'm not saying that you can't say, hey, when you do this, it really bothers me. It hurts my feelings at this and that, right? That's different. But if it's like, if this doesn't change, I'm fucking, like, I'm done with you. Like, if you don't fix these things, if you don't change these things, I'm done with you. My personality is like, fucking be done then, right? Not necessarily that that's a good thing, because also my personality is to say to people, if you don't change these things, I'm the fuck out. So see, that's a growth point if I choose for it to be. See, this is so important. What is it that you see are your weaknesses and your negative traits that you want to grow through for you to fill whole with you? It doesn't come from the outside in. It comes from the inside out. So I will take all the situations and things that happen, things that people say, things that people do, disagreements that are had. I analyze all of it. Like, for the most part in my life, nobody has to tell me what they're upset with me over. They really don't have to tell me, because I'm always analyzing what I did in those situations and then asking myself if it is important enough to me for me to grow through for me, or if I don't give a fuck. Like, here's a great example. All right. Daniel cannot fucking stand that I interrupt him. He's my husband, if you don't know, right? He can't stand that I interrupt him. So one day we're talking, and we're not in a disagreement, but we're talking, and he says something about me interrupting him. And I look him straight dead in the eye and I say, you know what? That is not something I care to grow through. So you're going to have to get over it. Or, if that's a deal breaker for you, it is. Like, I'm clear on what I'm willing to grow through and what I'm not. So, like, to me, interrupting you, it's not going to fucking happen. I'm not going to grow through it. I don't give a fuck to. Because I don't give a fuck to, I'm not doing it. Another example. Friend was like, oh, I hate surprises. I hate surprises. I hate surprises. I hate surprises, like a big thing. I hate surprises. Guess what? One of the things that I love to do for people the most is surprise them and show them how much like they mean to me by doing sweet things for them. So what do you think I said to them? Not gonna fucking change. It's who the fuck I am. So if you can't get behind this, then we're not gonna be able to be in each other's life. Period. I'm not going to change that because you hate that. And let's not even discuss the fact that the reason why somebody would hate being cared for and surprised and loved in the ways that I was and the turbulence that it was causing is because they didn't feel like that they were worth it really at the end of the day. So really, I'm not going to change something that is literally the core of my being when you're the one that needs to do the work for yourself to grow through, for you to feel whole, because you don't feel like you're worthy for pretty much anything. So everybody else around you has to constantly be making adjustments or actually changing in order for you to feel comfortable, because you need them in that state to come down to your level because you don't love yourself enough to accept any of that. And that was actually the problem. But because I'm so evolved and so like on my journey where I'm at, I could recognize that. How many people do you think would have stopped giving gifts and like spoiling that person and treating them in those ways and, you know, doing those sweet things for them? It wasn't just surprises. It was the sweet things. It's like I could surprise them with something that was their favorite thing and they would hate that. So this isn't like a conversation about a surprise of like something random, something they, you know, don't know. I mean, I did that too, but there's the other side of that. It was like surprises like, here's your favorite alcohol. Here's a shot glass from your favorite sports team. Here's, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I digress. So with that being said, it was like, not going to fucking change. It's not, there is no growth here on my side. So I don't know what you're going to do on your side. I'm going to leave that on you, but there's no growth here on this side. Why? Because I didn't feel like it was a weakness, a negative, or something that I felt I wanted to change. I do not change anything and move it to that growth point unless I want to. I'm serious. It has to come from me. And not because it hurt your feelings, not because you're mad, not because you don't like it, not because you're walking out the door. I don't take any of that into consideration when I make the decision on my growth points. What I take into consideration on my growth points is how I want to be received and how I want to make someone feel and how I want to feel. So how I feel, how they feel, and how I'm received. Most of the time though, I don't make the decision based on how they feel. It's how I feel and how I'm received. So what I mean by that is like, I don't want them to think that I'm a fucking asshole because I love them, I care, I da-da-da. So therefore, I need to go to work on this. I don't want to feel like I'm not worth it or I'm not lovable or I'm not this because I treat people this way. So I'm gonna grow through that. That's what I mean by received and how I feel. Let me say this again. It's not about changing to be accepted. It's about growing to feel whole. Changing to be accepted comes from the outside in. Growing to feel whole comes from the inside out. And listen, I could talk about this for so long, but I'm going to just say this and I'm going to leave you with it. Nobody else can make you feel whole. The whole fucking Jerry Maguire, you complete me bullshit doesn't happen. It's not a thing. You want to know how you know? Not how I know, but you want to know how you know? Is because if the person, the people, the circumstances, the things that you feel like complete you, just let one of those fucking things just blow the fuck up. Let that human lose their fucking mind and be a complete and utter ass and tell me if you still feel whole. No one can complete you. No one can make you feel whole. That comes from you. You do that work. That's why it's about growing to feel whole. If you are operating in life to where other people, your kids, your parents, your friends, your partner, that those are the things that make you feel whole, that's because you're changing all the time for those people and adapting and adopting to feel accepted. Because when you grow to feel whole, when you are growing, you're doing it for you. You're doing it from the perspectives that you want. You're doing it from where your mindset is. You're doing it for what feels good for you. And they're all going to benefit, yes. But you grow to feel whole. All of those other things fill you up. Those things fill you up. They don't make you whole. We're going to have a whole podcast episode about whole versus full. Okay? So we'll talk all about that, because whole versus full is a whole other conversation that we are absolutely going to have. So with that, you don't change to be accepted. You grow to feel whole. Remember this sacred truth. Say yes to yourself, for within you lies infinite worth. Let your heart be your compass, guiding you on a path of self-discovery and liberation. Grant yourself the grace to stumble and rise, for it is in our imperfections that we find our strength. Embrace the dance of progress, where each step forward fuels the fire within you. And with massive power and deep soul conviction, let this be your anthem, your unwavering declaration. I choose me. I'm Power Coach Alicia, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Soul Fire podcast. You being here means the world to me, and I'm grateful for the time that you've dedicated to be here. And by consistently showing up, I firmly believe that you will transform your life. I'm so grateful that you've subscribed and you continue to share with others, spreading my message far and wide, because together we can reach my mission of transforming the lives of 1 million souls on their healing journey. Now, to provide you even more support on your soul healing journey and address any questions you may have, I would like to invite you to join our soul healing community. Simply visit community.thesoulhealingzone.com. Again, that's community.thesoulhealingzone.com, where you can connect with like-minded women, share your top takeaways, discuss what resonated with your soul, and express your absolute favorite moments from this episode. I can't wait to read them. I'm so freaking excited to create more empowering episodes and continue supporting you. I am sending you so much love, light, and peace as we journey through this thing called life.